Hi, I'm David Boje, and I want to talk to you about GrowthOD, give you an introduction to what it is. So, first of all, growthod.org is our website. It's also a textbook that you can download there as part of this course. What the course is going to cover is called the five pillars. I'll introduce the pillars to you one at a time, and then there's going to be follow-up videos and handouts, etc. You can refer to the book and go through them yourselves. When you get through with the pillars and studying them, you can get certified in one or all of them. And that allows you to be referred by us to be a consultant or coach to an organization who wants to implement these things. So let's start with Purview, Perview. Stands for processes embodied restoring. That's the PER part. The PER part has 7 steps, and in each of those, we do what's called the view. We look at the vibrations of the body of our client when they're being coached. We ask them about it. Their internal negative thoughts, emotions, and limiting decisions. That's real important. We ask them an energy question on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest. What's their energy at that moment in the consultation and coaching? That gives us a reading of how well we're doing and what we have yet left undone. Finally, there's the waves, the quantum waves. As you know, quantum waves can be collapsed by making a choice. So we say, what choice would you like to make to collapse the wave? That's pretty much it. There's 7 steps we go through. You'll find those when I go through the PERVIEW module. The story healer method. We are story healers. We help people re-story by finding their story filters. Story filters, like if you grow up and you had a mother or father who said you were never good enough, well, that becomes a story filter that filters everything in your life, and it becomes an emotional block. And if you start accepting those thoughts, which I know I did when I came of age, they become self-defeating. So we'll look at those consulting processes and coaching processes that you can use in any organization. It liberates both personal and organizational energy. That's real important. And enables your creativity. You get a higher vibration of performance. The healing is that instead of slogging through like you're stepping through wet concrete, you actually use less energy yourself, and that energy is put toward performance, engagement, and effectiveness. Second up, our second pillar is gratitude, love, organizational wisdom. That's called GLOW. So Tom Lemke and Olivia Parr Rudd, they're the masters of the GLOW pillar. The heart conductor method. They cultivate gratitude in a gratitude culture. They are very focused on creating love and peace in organizations. They want to transform the organization to a beacon of positive energy through resonance and presence in the coaching that you learn in that methodology. They also have a really good intake assessment to tell you what needs to be done, how far you have to go to develop a true culture, right, of gratitude, love, organizational wisdom. The third pillar is the socioeconomic approach to management. It's developed by Henri Saval and his daughter, Amandine Saval, the mother of Amandine, husband to Henry, Veronique Zardet, and our operations director, I've known for many years, Mark Bonnet. So Grace Ann Rosil and I traveled to France for 25 years, teaching in the socioeconomic approach to management program. And I taught it at New Mexico State University for over 20 years. So I know it pretty much inside and out. It's developing a understanding of how trust is built in an organization. Their approach, you don't do tape recording, you don't have some AI transcribe your notes because they want a personal relationship with the client. So that means being with the client, taking notes. Now, why would you take notes? Because people will slow down and listen to you. They'll be aware that you're listening to them. They'll go, oh my God, this person is actually listening to me. That's really exciting. So it's got that hands-on approach. What do? They help clients identify what's called hidden cost, according to the founder, Henry Saval, who's an economist and knows a little bit about accounting. I mean, a lot about accounting, and all of the socio-technical orientations to systems. What he's found out is your annual reports, your quarterly reports, the things that managers make decisions from only show you about 50% of the true costs of an organization. So we call them hidden costs because they're hidden from those reports. To find those costs is actually pretty straightforward. As you're listening to people tell you about what's going on in an organization, they sort of start to disclose things that are not going perfectly right. And you say, how often does that occur? And what is that costing an organization? And you start to get at what's called activity-based costing. So it's an activity by activity by activity starts with the working conditions, the work organization, the levels of communication. That's a big one. Coordination and cooperation. We call those the 3 Cs, where time management is happening and not happening in ways that are productive. Where's the training happening? Who's getting it? Who's not getting it? Who needs it? Who doesn't need it? So we look at all of those things and we get to strategic implementation. And what we find is, you know why they call us into an organization to do socioeconomic approach? Because their socioeconomic stuff is not working that well. If it was all humming along, they wouldn't call us in. So oftentimes people are so busy putting out fires in these other areas I've mentioned, they're not doing strategic implementation. So the biggest thing about SEAM is human potential. It's all about developing and releasing human potential to focus on those hidden costs, to find them and resolve them. And you recycle hidden costs into revenue streams. So this is a very big consulting activity. It can take a few months to get it going, but in 3 months, it'll pay for itself. In a year, you'll start to get over the short-term orientation of strategic planning that's often very reactive and into a strategic planning that can bring growth. Now, the purview orientation to coaching really helps you along in SEAM because you have to work with people to get over their issues of short-term orientation, of maybe having all the focus on the top for the training and not releasing it into the rest of the organization. This is going to take some coaching with purview. It also takes GLOW, because GLOW combined with SEAM is very important. If you're going to build that trust culture in SEAM, it's also going to be a gratitude culture. It's going to involve gratitude, love, organizational wisdom developers like Tom Lemke and Olivia Parr-Rudd. So the people certified in Purview and Glow at our organization, GrowthOD, are qualified also in SEAM, so they can work with the bigger consulting projects, but overcome blocks to implementation, such as low self-esteem, such as maybe you got a bully boss. So you're not going to build trust orientation or a micromanager. Well, micromanagers aren't able to, they're able to delegate, sure, and follow up and control, but not get that kind of thing that we need to have happening to release human potential. We have a set of kits and tools that are in souls, what we call souls. Well, I like that acronym. I hope you do too. It's self, organizing, understanding leadership systems. So, soul, self organizing, understanding leadership systems. So, we integrate a number of really important, well validated instruments. One of them is axiology. By taking the axiology value profile, right, you get an understanding of what are your go-to assets that you have, and you get an understanding of your biases. And once again, you're going to need individual coaching, group coaching, and Purview to deal with those biases. That's what this Purview is for. And to deal with the glow, gratitude, love, organizational wisdom. So you're developing the positive aspirations in glow, and you're dealing with the blocks in Purview. Socioeconomic, we translate that into the economic. So there's axiology, very well known in organizational development circles. Peter Demarest and Harvey Shoup have a really good book on the central question, and I'll leave it to you to find out what is the central question. We'll cover it also in our orientation modules. The other one is Boje. Boje is the reverse of deja vu. So instead of seeing things you've already seen again, you're noticing the future coming, arriving, and all the possibilities of that future. Boje instrument, Monty Miller and his co-CEO Doug, they have a really wonderful instrument, and it relates to your outcome orientation and your process orientation. It relates to being an introvert and extrovert. It relates to the notion of you're kinesthetic. You like to be doing and feeling it, the process as you're going along. Are you auditory, like myself? You want to be talking and listening to other people, interacting with them, right? And are you a visual person? I'm a visual person. You can see that in the background. You have the 5 pillars: Purview, Glow, Seam, Souls that we're looking at now, and AAM. So we're going to get to the AAM in just a second. Now, from Glow, Tom Lemke and Olivia Parr-Rudd have an instrument that assesses readiness and what you need to do to get that glow pillar happening in your organization. And in Purview, I've developed, because that's my home pillar, I'll tell you, along with Seam, I developed an instrument called the Purview Mindfulness Quiz. So I want to understand with you your mindfulness for being in the moment, your mindfulness for taking breaks, experiencing life in little wow moments, and also a mindfulness for understanding the elements of Purview, and the steps, what we call restoring, for example, embodiment, energy work. So those things are covered in Purview, and you can use it as a pre-test, post-test in the consulting and coaching work you do, or if you're a client, you can use it as a pre-test, post-test in the work you're having done from people qualified and certified in our GrowthOD pillars. We have other instruments and assessments in there. Ken Long is really big on creativity. It has some really good creativity orientation material there. We also look at appreciative inquiry. We've got some assessments there on that. The quantum wisdom scan I've mentioned from Glow, that is really a big deal as part of Souls. Again, Souls is self-organizing, understanding leadership systems using these various tools and instruments. So last on our list, and maybe the most important, is auxiliary assumption method. The auxiliary assumption method, developed by Professor David Trofimo, who's the editor of Experimental and Social Psychology Journal. It's a very scientific orientation. It looks at what are the key assumptions you have of the theory, what is the key assumptions you have about the implementation you're going to do to change an organization and develop it. What are the key assumptions you have about the instruments you're going to use to measure that change, right? So these kinds of assumptions are called auxiliary assumptions because we're looking at them in each case, each situation, and you can't be testing and using all the assumptions at once. That would be getting you pretty dizzy and would be chaotic. So we look at how to do these assumptions in your work and organizational change and development and in the coaching and consulting you would receive if you're a client. We also look at statistics in AAM. So the statistics are real important because they are all about getting to the most cutting edge kinds of statistics. Now, if you were trained in using null hypotheses and p-values, you need a p-value of 0.05 or nothing was valid, etc. That's old school. That kind of statistics is being tossed out as David Trofimo goes from one statistical association meeting in countries in Europe, Asia, Canada, United States, and is convinced these statistical associations, and they write the textbooks on statistics that we all learn from, that we are going to do the new statistics and new methods. And that's real important. So I'll be going through the AAM with you, and when we get to that module. Now, this is for experts. This may not be for your introductory organizational change and development consultant and coach, but it would be for those organizations in coaching and consulting, such as GrowthOD and others that use GrowthOD, and for clients that really want to know that they're getting the most up-to-date, valid statistical method, the most reliable. So that gives you some introduction, I hope, to the 5 pillars of GrowthOD. And I'm David Boje. You can always get a hold of me at davidboje.com or davidboje@gmail.com. And you can find us at growthod.org. That's where you can download the textbook. You can find information on the 5 pillars. And again, what do? We certify people in the 5 pillars to do GrowthOD coaching and consulting for organizations. We work with clients, organizations that are in business, small, medium, and large business, government, nonprofit, education, healthcare. So that's what we do. That's what we do. We work with a socioeconomic approach to management, for example, and they've worked with 2,300 clients around the world. So there's a lot of depth here in what we do. So again, thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time.